This is My Next Question, a Jewelers of America and National Jeweler podcast, sponsored by Darm International. Hello and welcome to My Next Question, a Jewelers of America and National Jeweler podcast. I'm Amanda Gizzi.
And I'm Michelle Graff. Welcome to our August episode. It's our birthday month, Amanda.
Yes, it is. Happy birthday month, Michelle. It's our
Happy
favorite time of year.
birthday month, Amanda.
It's our favorite time of year. So I just finished a style file for National Jeweler as a tribute to spinel and peridot.
Yes.
A little battle royale between the gemstones because there's some really deep feelings about how people feel about their birthstone for August.
For sure. Yeah.
I feel like more than most birthstones. I feel maybe it's just because I live and breathe it because it is our birthstone. How do you feel?
So I might be in the minority here, but I prefer peridot. I have some little peridot earrings, little studs in today. Wore them just to support.
Oh,
and
I love that.
I don't know because spinel was added as birthstone by AGTA and JA when 2012.
17. Oh yeah, 12. Sorry,
2012.
Yep.
Wow. And so as a kid growing up, I grew up with peridot. Like I remember when I first got my ears pierced, somebody gave me a little pair of peridot stud earrings. So I think, and I love spinel, and spinel is wonderful, as you know, because it comes in so many colors. But I have to go with the OG peridot.
Okay, I love it. Team peridot for Michelle, Team spinel for Amanda. I just grew up not loving it. So I have more appreciation for it today. I will say there's not a single piece in my style file that I would say no to. I love them all. Yeah. All those peridot pieces are insane.
Those Pomellato earrings.
Oh my gosh, Sylvia from Monovich, those earrings are to
those
die for. So lots of good there. But I love a spinel. Definitely on my list of things that I want to purchase for myself will be a gray spinel. So maybe one of these days I'll make that happen. But I do love a good spinel. We also have 7 birthdays in the month of August in our office. How crazy is this? So we don't have a big team.
No, we don't have that many people.
We don't have
there.
a big team. So we have 7 birthdays. And there are 3 that are on the same day. So happy birthday month to you, Michelle. To me, Amanda. Also to Rich Humans, the publisher of MJSA Journal, Michael Coleman, Maddie Rivera, Jordan Carmel, and our very own producer of My Next Question, Molly Fallon.
Nice. Happy birthday, Molly.
Yeah, happy birthday to Molly and the team.
Happy birthday, everybody.
Everybody, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of birthdays.
Yes, it's insane. So super busy month, lots going on. What else do we have going on, Michelle?
So I know a lot of people get to take the whole month of August off, and God bless. But the editors of National Jeweler are not among them.
No.
We are currently working on a Retailer Hall of Fame issue because it comes out in October. We're currently doing the production, the editing right now. And we announced our 2026 class of inductees in Las Vegas. And this year we are inducting Sean Dunn of J.R. Dunn Jewelers in Florida. And then we have a pair of sisters and a pair of brothers. So we have Coleman Mitchell Clark of BC Clark Jewelers in Oklahoma City. And then we have Amy and Elise Greenberg of Greenberg's Jewelers. And their stores are in, let me check this, Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota. I knew it was in the Midwest. So, I can't wait for everybody to read it. I think it'll be a great issue. It's always an interesting mix of retailers. Business is different in Florida than it is in Iowa and South Dakota, than it is in Oklahoma. So it's always interesting to hear their stories and how they manage their businesses and how they got into the business. So that'll be great. And Amanda, a lot of people might not know this, but you contribute 2 articles to the Retailer Hall of Fame issue. We need to start giving you more visible credit. I just realized
I don't need credit. I love the publication. It's my favorite of the magazines.
I won't tell State of the Majors.
Don't tell them. I have no favorites. I mean, it's like a child. It's your children. They're like my stepchildren. Anyway, I do love to be able to contribute, one of which is one of the articles that I was able to contribute for this upcoming issue is 20 Under 40, which we've done. This is our 3rd year putting an article about the 20 Under 40 in Retailer Hall of Fame.
Which I think is so great because they need more exposure, and it's so fun to let people get to know them.
It's so fun, and it's like the perfect juxtaposition, right, between the people who have made it, who are in this Retailer Hall of Fame, they're in the Hall of Fame, and then we have all these emerging leaders who are, hopefully one day we're going to be able to look back and be like, oh, they were
20 under 40.
They were
and
20 under 40.
Exactly.
Exactly. So that's always fun. And then we also have an article about Jewelers of America and the MJSA Education Foundation and all of the things that we're doing to help alleviate the bench jeweler shortage and to really put the attention on bench as a viable career within the jewelry industry. So that's a really good article as well. So thank you for allowing us the chance to have that in the magazine.
No, thank you for participating, because I think it
course.
really adds something. Fun little crossover fact in this year's issue. I'm doing a feature on the, was it 8 stores that turned 100 this year?
Yes,
JA
the
members.
J100 Club.
And one of the people I interviewed was Kyle Bullock of Bullock's Jewelers in Roswell, New Mexico, and he is also one of the 20 under 40, so there's a fun little crossover there.
Lots of connecting the dots there. I love that.
So the Retailer Hall of Fame issue will be out online and in print in October, so please look for it. So today, today's my next question, we have 2 guests.
We do. We know them both very well.
We know them both very well. One of them is our boss,
Yes,
David
Mr.
Bonaparte,
Yep.
who is the president and CEO of Jewelers America, and who has been desperate to get on this podcast since the beginning. So he it took us 8 episodes to let our boss be on. So if you want to be on, you've been emailing us. Just remember, even our boss couldn't get on for 8 episodes. And then we have the World Diamond Council president and longtime diamantier, Ronnie VanderLinden, both very well known in the jewelry industry. So they're going to join us today to talk about tariffs, the recent trip to DC to meet with U.S. Trade Representative Jamison Greer, and the World Diamond Congress in Singapore, what happened there and what was discussed. So it's going to be a great talk with Ronnie and Dave today. So please stick around. We'll be right back after this message.
DARM International is a global leader in natural diamond manufacturing, delivering exceptional craftsmanship through advanced traceability and net zero sustainable practices since 2022. With over 50 years of expertise and 4,500 skilled artisans, they craft diamonds from 0.18 to 100 plus carats, supporting retailers worldwide with consistent quality and responsible sourcing. Visit www.ddpl.com to learn more. And welcome back. Jewelry Never Sleeps is always one of our favorite segments within the podcast, Michelle. As we always say, jewelry never sleeps. And this summer, we're not able to either because it's busier and crazier than ever.
Yes.
As we mentioned before, it's like a super busy time of year. One thing that I wanted to talk about is the latest coverage that we've been seeing on CFDA. So CFDA jewelry designers who are part of their Flags of Fashion program.
And sorry, for those who
yes.
don't know, CFDA is Council of Fashion Designers of America.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. So CFDA has the Flags of Fashion, which is currently being debuted at Rockefeller Center, and it is part of the 250th anniversary of the United States. It's the celebration, so they have all of these designers who have made flags for all of the states. So I thought it was really interesting because amongst all of these powerhouse fashion brands and designers within the fashion world, there were so many jewelry designers who were asked to be part of the project. So we had Anna Corey, Lauren Harwell Godfrey, Jennifer Meyer, Pamela Love, Jennifer Fisher, Stephen Lagos, Kendra Scott, Lorraine Schwartz, and Alexis Bitar, all part of this program, which was really cool to see their take. If you haven't seen it, I encourage everybody to go on to the CFDA's website and take a look at the flags that the jewelry designers contributed, because they really had some jewelry influences, obviously. So you can read into the story what was their inspiration for the flag, and it's just a really neat program. So wanted to just give all of those designers a proper shout out to be, sort of put jewelry front and center as part of a bigger fashion conversation.
I thought it was a really cool project as well, and a great kind of way for the CFDA to get designers, creative voices involved in the 250th anniversary.
Absolutely.
I loved it. Yeah, definitely go on the website and check them out if you haven't already.
Yeah.
So I have, for today's Jewelry Never Sleeps segment, I have 2 bits of diamond news.
Yes.
So the first is about the sale of De Beers, the ongoing saga.
Yes, exactly.
So Anglo-American CEO Duncan Wanblad had a couple interesting things to say on the company's recent earnings call. So first, he seemed to shoot down these reports that Anglo-American had already chosen a front-runner bidder, and the reports were that Anglo American has kind of settled on the consortium led by Gareth Penny, De Beers' former CEO, and reporters were asking Duncan about this while he was on, when the company was releasing its first half results, and he said the company Anglo American is, quote, not exclusive with any consortium, and there's still more than one bidder in consideration. So I thought that was interesting. The second piece of news to come out of that call was he gave an update on the timeline. Now, we had heard more than weeks ago that De Beers Al Cook had said that he was hoping the sale would close in, quote, weeks, not months.
Right.
But Wanblad said on the earnings call that they are looking at closing it. They're hoping to close it by the second half of 2026. And then there are obviously closing conditions and approvals that have to happen, and that'll take about a year to complete before the sale is final. So it doesn't mean we won't know who's buying it, but the sale won't be official final until they pick the buyer, announce them, and then there's going to be some regulatory approvals that have to take place. So I thought that was interesting.
So we're talking the end of 2027 before the sale could be completely final.
That's what I'm feeling.
Interesting. Yes. It's very interesting. So let's also look ahead to September, Michelle.
Yes.
We have
not to skip our birthday month.
No, we're celebrating our birthday month proper.
Yes.
Well, sort of proper. But skipping ahead to September, because August will fly by, sadly, before we know it. There's so many things that are happening within the industry. I'm going to be going to Conclave.
Oh, nice.
Which I'll be presenting a session with our 20 under 40, which is going to be exciting. Yes, I'm excited to be down in Orlando for the AGS Conclave. And that's going to be a really fun conversation. I always love talking to the 20 under 40 to be able to give them the opportunity, a platform to share their learnings with the industry, because I do think there's so much we can learn from the next generation. Vicenza Oro. I know Natalie will be going to Vicenza Oro.
Yes, Natalie Francisco, National Jewelers Associate Editor, covers fashion.
And this will be her first time or second time going
She went
to
last year. She really enjoyed it, and she did a fantastic article on the designer she saw there when she came back.
I mean, there's no better place to be in September than Vicenza Oro.
Yeah, it's a nice time to be in Vicenza and Venice. And yeah, so super happy to send her back, and I know she'll have a great time and do a great job.
Excellent. Well, that's really all the news that we have going on for this segment. These are all the things that are sort of keeping us busy.
Yes.
And we'll have more, obviously, at our next podcast.
And up ahead is our interview with Ronnie and Dave, so please stick around. We'll be right back after this break.
Jewelers of America is the most trusted and influential voice of the jewelry industry. With a mission to empower and unite its members, Jewelers of America provides guidance, education, and advocacy to promote excellence, integrity, and success in an evolving marketplace. Since 1906, Jewelers of America has been advancing the fine jewelry industry, setting high ethical standards, and fostering professional growth for their members. Jewelers of America represents a large, diverse membership of retailers and suppliers who commit annually to the organization's code of professional practices. Visit jewelers.org to become a member and get insider access to the many member benefits. Welcome to my next question.
Hello, guys.
We're excited to have you both.
Amanda and Michelle.
Of course.
Thanks for having me.
So you both were in Singapore last month attending the World Diamond Congress, which, for people who don't know, that is the meeting that takes place every 2 years between the WFDB and IDMA. So one of the topics, of course, was marketing natural diamonds. And I wanted to know, did either of you hear any ideas that you thought were really innovative or that impressed you at the World Diamond Congress? And do you think the industry made any progress towards taking a more unified front to marketing natural diamonds?
I was fortunate enough to sit on a panel about that topic, talking about marketing of natural diamonds and what we should do as an industry. And on that panel was Natural Diamond Council, Clear Cut. I think the Diamond Club West Coast was on it, and one other individual. So, that we were asked the question, what can we do? And then, everyone spoke about some of the things that they're doing, like Natural Diamond Council with the Luanda Accords, trying to raise money. They are in a work in progress right now, not done, but working on that very subject. And I think the clear message was, even from Clear Cut and certainly for myself, was there's no silver bullet here. But everybody agreed that we need to work together with the same messaging. It doesn't have to be exact, but it has to be consistent. And so the industry's working on it. And that was kind of the common theme that came out of that session anyway. And then there was, of course, a lot of back office talk and a lot of different subjects brought up. So
And I guess
it was
that you
productive.
cannot let us in any of those back office conversations.
Well, it's not confidential. It's just, the same messaging. Like, how can we do this? Let's get, we're forming a task force, and, making sure we have regular meetings to discuss messaging and who executes what. But clearly, the Natural Diamond Council is going to and continues to do a lot of good work in this space, a lot on social media, but continuing to hone the message. So I don't know, Ronnie, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you covered it, David. But basically, there was a broad agreement that reliance on brands alone is not sufficient. Actually, it's probably insufficient. And I'm guessing that the consensus along the lines was that, we need to get joint funding across the globe in order to market the natural diamonds. And, David and I were listening to Amber Pepper, the new CEO of the Natural Diamond Council. And I think the industry is getting behind the Natural Diamond Council in order to reach out to the consumer. More so, going back to the old-fashioned ways, what David, and correct me if I'm wrong, reaching out to the consumer than rather focusing, it seemed at times, more on the middle market than actually the consumer. There was also, they mentioned something, we had panelists there, that they're targeting more the Asian markets, that the Asian markets are waking up again, so that they'll be targeting Asian markets. Correct, David? Yes?
Right. Yeah, right. I mean, there was a dip in the Far East, and that seems to be coming back. And the general theme there, too, was not doom and gloom. It was, in fact, natural diamonds are starting to uptick in sales. And so there's a lot of focus, and Ronnie mentioned the middle. The middle is getting hit a little bit, so but coming back. And so just kind of common theme messaging on the uniqueness and the special aspects of natural diamonds, focus on their beauty, their relevance, they're one of a kind in nature, that type of thing. So there was a lot of positive messaging coming out of the meeting, but still more work to do.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was a theme. I guess that's my question, Dave, that you sort of answered there, is the reliance on less so on going against lab grown and really leaning into the characteristics of natural. Truly marketing natural versus lab, which I think we've been in this heavy natural versus lab world for quite some time now. I think everybody's sort of ready to get out of that battle. Like, we don't need to fight against a sector of the industry. It doesn't make anybody look good. So it sounds like
And it hasn't done anything.
It sounds like that was sort of the messaging that you heard too, is that they were really pushing natural.
100%.
100%.
In unison. The folks at the Congress were in 100% agreement that it is not natural versus lab grown. It's diamonds. In fact, it's diamonds, right? You don't even need the qualifier of natural, because diamonds means diamonds. Right. It's a natural. It was 100% agreement that we should not go on the offensive against lab grown. Lab grown is a product.
Right.
They have their own niche, and it's different than natural.
So that's actually a perfect segue into the next question. My next question is that there have been a lot of changes in lab-grown terminology as of late, which, just for everybody who's on the podcast, CIBJO will remove laboratory-grown and laboratory-created from its Blue Book, mandating synthetic as the sole term for man-made gemstones starting September 2026. And then starting September 1st, 2026, Russia's government resolution number 657 requires lab-grown diamonds to be exclusively labeled as synthetic on tags and marketing. So wanted to talk to you both
Plus
about
weight
your...
in grams.
What's that?
Not only synthetics, but they've also said weight in grams.
Yeah, weight in grams
Yes.
instead of
Weight
carats to further differentiate.
Exactly.
Correct.
So let's talk about that, Ronnie, about about that new regulation and what you think that means for the industry, and where do you think, both Ronnie and Dave, where do you think that the U.S. will land, and what do you think the timeline will be for U.S. to sort of follow suit, if at all?
Go ahead, Ryan. You know.
Well, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, David and I have had numerous discussions about how the United States would follow Russia or the CIBJO Blue Book when it comes to the term synthetics. All right. So as we know, the FTC guidelines considered synthetics by itself, if you were if using it in a derogatory manner, potentially deceptive on its own. But you are allowed to use synthetics when you're saying a synthetic diamond, or using it with another, possibly an adjective or so. David and I have been working on, and the FTC guidelines review and revision take place in 2028. So do we think that synthetics will be removed from the guidelines? No. Do we believe that it will be clearer come the new guidelines? That's what we're working towards. David?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as you know, in the last green guides, that's where lab grown came in, and then the decisions around how to use the word synthetic. So just a point that even though Russia, even France for that matter, and CIBJO is making this mandate, so to speak, about synthetic and using the word synthetic, it's clear that the FTC does not really consider what other countries are doing at all when it comes to this subject. They are clearly focused on consumers in the U.S. and what's clear and not deceptive to them. So as Ronnie mentioned, we're working on a task force for the 2028 Green Guides because we do feel that the FTC guides as written now are a little bit confusing. And when you read them, it's a little confusing. So we're working towards a solution and a proposal so that it's less confusing. There's no deceptive marketing out there, because I think that there were some that kind of pushed the limits and even went past the limits of advertising, lab grown diamonds and as diamonds. That was early on. Haven't seen much of it lately, but it's still policed by organizations like JVC and the NDC, and then whenever we see it, we raise the flag. But I don't think we'll ever use the word synthetic as a standalone. I think it'll be, but clearly identified as what it is in the Green Guides. And so it's a process though, and it's 2028, and there's no guarantee that they're even going to be done by then. So
yeah, that's when the process is going to start. And just to be clear, are we talking here about the Green Guides, or are we talking about the jewelry guides being revised in 2028?
The FTC guidelines.
Okay, so I think that's the jewelry guides.
David, I believe. Yeah.
I think it's the jewelry guides.
Yeah.
The Green Guides is more, the jewelry guides is specific to the industry. The Green Guides is more about marketing around environmental claims across industries.
right.
So
Yeah,
just
and it's
making
more
that.
broad, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
it gets
Yes.
confusing. So
Right.
just to sum up, you don't think that in the United States the FTC will add synthetic, but you think you are pushing for there to be more clarity than just lab grown. Is that is my understanding correct of our conversation?
We're looking to have synthetic as the premier descriptor when it comes to lab-grown diamonds. So it'll be among others there. It's not that you're going to be able to move, in our opinion, laboratory grown or lab grown the way it's written today. And as we know, synthetics are there and they're allowed to be used, but again, not in a derogatory manner.
Yeah.
And it's also the way, David, we can get into this also, the way they define natural, removing natural from the descriptor.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Yep.
I'm one, I will share with all of you, from the very beginning and from the initial, back in 2018, the review, I was one of the guys who said, why not just keep natural in there? You don't have to use it. Diamonds mean diamond. We agree with that. But a natural diamond is a natural diamond. And what's wrong with saying a natural diamond? And consistently say
The same way we
diamond
say cultured
when you're
pearl or
speaking.
natural pearl.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
That's my thought process. David?
Just one other just one other comment on the FTC. So I'll give you an example of why I think personally, okay, and I'm not sure everybody agrees with this, but this is my interpretation. When they did their revisions, obviously viewing lab-grown diamonds as real diamonds, they used the word real diamonds because of the chemical composition, right? But when they said, yes, they're real diamonds and it's an actual diamond, okay, they then, in the next paragraph, said, no misleading marketing. You can't use the word real when you're talking about lab-grown diamonds.
Right.
So to me, that's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to make that point in a constructive way to make sure it leads to no misleading marketing or advertising. And that's really the goal.
Right.
You can't use the word real, genuine, natural to describe lab-grown. But yet they say they're real diamonds and they're actual diamonds. So, I can take that further in that I don't think they're the same product at all. Not that they're not legitimate. Lab-grown is a legitimate product, obviously out there and popular, but it's a different product.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to switch gears a little bit here.
We're looking for tighter distinction rules.
Yeah.
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 So one other piece of news to come out of the World Diamond Congress was there was a new president elected for the WFDB, Mehul Shah of the Bharat Diamond Bourse in India. And I know that the election was contested this time around, which I understand is unusual. Why do you think that was? Why do you think there was some, not controversy, but some competition around a new president for the WFDB? Can you speak to that a little bit?
I guess it's the Donald Trump syndrome. Just kidding. No. No. Just kidding, guys. No, I wouldn't say that it was contested. I would say there were a number of candidates for the presidency. There were, in fact, 3. So that's what happened. There was truly, guys running for office, and normally it's you have the next president in mind already. Okay, that's usually done before the congresses happen and you vote. This was unusual that there were actually a number of candidates. So it went for election. It's not that it was contested. Once Mr. Mehul was elected, there was everybody applauded and congratulated him. So it's just, I think it's a sign of the times with everybody being concerned and the challenges we face in industry and who is the right leader for this moment.
And
David?
everybody feeling like they have the right idea for moving the industry forward.
Yeah, I'll just say that,
Exactly.
yes, Michelle, like Ronnie said, there were a bunch of 3 people running, very strong candidates. Everybody had their opinion. It was a fair and equitable election, and Mehul won. So and then after that, everybody was friendly, and that was it. They moved forward, so it was fine. Really, it was really not that much controversy. It was just a good race.
Okay, good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually a good
It
thing.
added
to
excitement, ladies, to
interest
the Congress.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that people are excited about leading, right? And that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's good.
It's important to be able to have, competition for an important position like that. So that's good.
Yeah.
Two of the
Absolutely
two of
correct.
the additional topics at the World Diamond Congress were sanctions and traceability. So I don't know if you could both talk to us a little bit about some of the key takeaways on those 2 issues and anything that the U.S. industry really needs to know. So again, on sanctions or traceability.
I'll just start, Ronnie, by saying, it's not much new news about traceability unless Ronnie can chime in. But I'll tell you that sanctions, the G7 sanctions are still in place. The recent news, this isn't recent, it was a couple of days, I think it's even after the Congress, is that sanctions on anybody doing business with Russia are currently in place. And not, there's no action yet. However, with the new tariff changes and these sanctions, that came out from the administration, that anybody that does business with Russia is subject to 100% tariff. So, for instance, India is apparently still buying Russian oil. And this is much greater and bigger than the jewelry industry. So if they continue to buy Russian oil, perceivably, right, we're not necessarily in the space, but this is what we hear, and this is what we heard at the USTR last week, that, they have no choice but to consider, they're not saying it's automatic, to consider 100% sanctions. Now, that obviously, India would be a byproduct of a much larger decision. It would be, collateral damage if they ever went to 100% tariffs. We hope that's not going to happen, and that this negotiation is ongoing, and so hopefully we have the right outcome. So that's really the only kind of top of mind sanction item that we're talking about. As far as traceability, I think Ronnie, you could probably talk to that a little bit clearer than I can. I know what's going on. There's a lot of, the diamond industry has demonstrated some traceability, but go ahead, Ron.
No, I think that as far as traceability, it's no different. We're talking about, the different countries, digitalization, the different, for instance, what do we have? You ladies would know the three forums that we have to trace diamonds from the rough producers to market. We have concerns about that, though. We're doing, traceability, origin. These are two different things that are going on. Our concerns are for the wider goods that are out there, for the goods that are in the pipeline, legitimate diamonds in the pipeline that don't have that traceability at the moment. All right. So, for instance, any consumer out there wearing their diamonds and you can't trace where it came from, is that worth value-wise any different than one that you can trace? And as we all know,
Right.
the largest inventory in the world is in the hands of the consumer. So this is all work in progress when we're doing this. And digital provenance, traceability, all of these things that we're doing. But we're working on it. We're working on it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and there's constant stuff. Individuals are doing stuff, and a lot of it's marketing too, like a De Beers efforts in Origin and Desert Diamonds. It's that to me is marketing, but they're using their own technology, which is blockchain to help in Origin.
De
interesting
Beers
topics that are
Tracer,
constantly
right? That's
ongoing.
one of the tools.
Right.
Yes,
Tracer,
yes.
Yeah.
Tracers, their
De Beers Tracer.
blockchain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So there's all this stuff. And as far as what David was talking about, about the exemptions and so, it all depends on the broader trade negotiations with countries out there and where we are. Those that finalize their trade agreements, diamonds will go to zero tariffs in these countries.
Yeah.
So as we've seen with the EU, as we've seen with Switzerland and other countries out there. So we'll go
So Ronnie,
basically
that
back to normal, where diamonds were before.
That actually leads into my next question. You two have been all over the map recently. After Singapore, you both were in D.C. meeting with U.S. Trade Representative Jamison Greer about zero tariffs.
Right.
Could you, Ronnie, you just alluded to it. Can you talk a little bit about where we are with that? And just so our audience knows, Ronnie and Dave had gone to D.C. last summer, and as a result of those conversations, diamonds, natural pearls, and colored gemstones gained a tariff exemption. Tariffs went down to 0%, but that all went out the window when the Supreme Court tossed out President Trump's IEEPA tariffs. So now we're back to 10% or 12.5%, depending on what the country is. So, Dave and Ronnie, what's your sense of where we're going with this timeline? When are diamonds and colored gemstones going to get back to 0% tariffs?
All right, Ronnie, I'll start off with this one. Ronnie and I, along with our lobbyist, Tim Hake, were down in D.C., and we were fortunate enough to get a meeting with Jamison Greer, which is the basically the buck stops there, right? That's the person you need to talk to when you're talking about tariffs, other than the president himself, which Jamison obviously reports to the president. So he was very good, very supportive, and made it very clear that the United States Trade Representative is not blocking this. They're not the problem. They want these tariffs to be in line with what the industry wants, which in our case is zero, and an exemption for diamonds, gemstones, and pearls. So he made it quite clear that when the EU got an exemption, or Botswana or Namibia and those countries and several others, it was because they negotiated a trade agreement. And so they were quickly to respond to say, okay, these products are now exempt. So we inquired about India specifically, which that is the big 800-pound gorilla in the room. Let's face it. It's India that is the one we're waiting on. And he made it clear that they're in negotiations, they're making progress, but they need to sign a trade agreement in order for those, for diamonds, gemstones, and pearls coming through India to be zero tariffs. And so they're working on it. There's a big meeting coming up in New York. But they encouraged us to reach out to our colleagues in India who have influence on the government to talk to them about a trade deal. Now, again, I alluded to it earlier. This is about oil, gas, and weapons. We are just a small part of this, although an important part, because obviously 90% of the world's diamonds or diamonds coming into the United States are coming from India. Ronnie could tell you specifically. But we had a good meeting. You saw the results. I know, Michelle, you reported on it very clearly about who is paying what. Right now it's 10% from India, and then several of the countries I mentioned are exempt. So we're optimistic, but it's going to take some time. And we're going to see, again in September, we're going to see the USTR probably go back to Peter Navarro's office, who's also in the architecture framework, dealing with tariffs and that framework. So, but we've had productive discussions. So, Ronnie, I'm not sure.
And that's part of the
that.
Jewelers of America fly-in in
Yes,
September that
fly-in.
you're referencing. Yes.
No, David, you covered it. Totally covered it. And that's where we are at the moment. So
Okay.
let's keep our fingers
Yeah, and
crossed.
it's
And
an-
as David said, I mean,
Yeah.
we were, I would say, Mr. Greer, Ambassador Greer, basically looked at us and said, as David clearly stated, I'm not the problem, okay? We're not the problem. We need you to speak to your colleagues over in India, for instance, and tell them, sign, and we'll be at zero tariffs for diamonds and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I think the right
As you've
plan-
seen,
it'll happen.
Michelle and Amanda, you've seen the HS codes that represent those that will be coming into this country with zero tariff.
Yeah. We are almost out of time. Do either of you have any final thoughts that you want to share with us before we let you go today?
I'll just say that I think
Yes,
there's a lot of questions around the tariffs, and we'll keep you guys posted on this stuff. I think there's a lot of chatter around refunds and all of that. What's happening with those, and that's a little complicated. But the importers are filing for refunds, whether or not they give those refunds to their retailers or their consumers, which is a much more murky scenario. That no one really knows how that's going to work out, but it's like the FedExes of the world, the Malcolm Meats, those guys that are actually filing for these refunds, and then whoever the importer of record is. So we'll keep you guys posted on that stuff too. But no, I think we're making progress.
Well, thank you both so much. We've loved having you here today. It's been so informative. And Dave, yes, please keep us in the loop on the tariffs, as we know you will.
Thanks for
Thank you
coming on my
both
next
for
question,
having
you
us.
both.
Yeah.
Ronnie, we'll let you
Well,
go back
thank
to
you
summer
both.
vacation.
And by the way, one last thing, you bet.
Yeah.
Let's congratulate our industry IIJS icon that's on the phone with us, Mr. David Bonaparte. We'll be receiving a reward.
Yes.
from
Yes.
the award
Congratulations
in Mumbai
to
tomorrow.
Dave.
Bravo, David.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror.
Very
Look in the
nice,
mirror,
Dave.
Rocky. Look in the mirror. You
Congratulations.
get one too.
Hey, bravo, David.
Congratulations and thanks again.
For 120 years, National Jeweler has been a trusted source of news and information for fine jewelry retailers, designers, and manufacturers. The publication delivers up-to-date information and commentary on the latest trends, headlines, and happenings via its daily newsletter and its two flagship print publications, The State of the Majors and the Retailer Hall of Fame. To learn more and subscribe, visit nationaljeweler.com/subscribe. You can also find us on Instagram. Our handle is @nationaljeweler, as well as on Facebook and LinkedIn.
So this month, our Jewelry Box of Fun is sadly on vacation. She's on summer vacation. I think her last known location was on the beach somewhere, looking fabulous, tanning herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hope she's using sunscreen.
yeah, me too. So we mentioned earlier that it's a big month for birthdays.
Yes.
We both are celebrating birthdays, a lot of August birthdays. We know what was happening in 9 months after 9 months previous, I guess.
It was the holidays.
There are a lot, yeah, exactly. So there are also 2 other big birthdays happening this year. This year, not this month, which is that Jewelers of America and National Jeweler are turning 120 years old, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Both NJ and JA were founded at the same year, which is just shows sort of where the industry was at that time, that they felt the need to form an association and then obviously a publication.
1906.
1906, which is amazing. So a quick snapshot of sort of Jewelers of America from that time. Founded in 1906 as the American National Retail Jewelers Association, indeed a mouthful. The good old ANRJA was founded in 1906. In 1957, it combined with the National Credit Jewelers Association, became the Retail Jewelers Association, before ultimately dropping the R and just being known as Jewelers of America, which is what we are today, obviously. And in 1979, the J in the Jewelers of America logo was born. And in 2009, Jewelers of America merged with Jewelry Information Center, which was another trade organization that was founded in 1946 with a goal to educate consumers about buying jewelry responsibly, where to shop, what to look for. So really educating the consumer.
And I'm correct that you worked for the Jewelry Information Center before it became part of JA.
I did. That's where I started my career in the jewelry industry, was with Jewelry Information Center, but I always shared an office with Jewelers of America because we were actually part of JA without being officially part of JA.
Oh, okay. Very good.
So I always had ties to Jewelers of America, but we officially merged in 2009. And then to further its mission, Jewelers of America went on to acquire National Jeweler in 2015.
Wow, I can't believe it's been over a decade already.
I know, which is amazing. So we were lucky enough to bring on you and your amazing team, and we also created a strategic affiliation with Diamond Council of America in 2017, and integrated the Manufacturing Jewelers and Suppliers of America, MJSA, in 2025.
Yes.
So really becoming Jewelers of America, because we are now all of the areas of the supply chain, really pushing the industry forward in a lot of different ways. So there's some other really fun facts within the history, obviously, of 120 years. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Jewelers of America created the concept of the JA New York show in 1906. The original concept was born, and ultimately in 1891, Jewelers of America sold the show at that time to Blenheim, which then went on to Emerald, and then now, as of this year, In-Store has recently acquired that show. So now In-Store owns and operates the JA New York show. So despite JA New York bearing our acronym, the Jewelers of America does not own or operate the show.
And has not
and
since
has
the
not
90s.
since the 90s. But we are so excited for In-Store to take over the show. We are working closely with their team. We believe very wholeheartedly in the power of having a very strong trade association in the jewelry capital of the U.S., which is New York City. So we're excited for that. So that's really the history of, that's one of the fun things that people don't always realize. We get lots of calls, obviously, for people wanting to participate in the JA New York show.
Yes.
And we understand why. Obviously, our acronym is on it.
And one quick note, the first in-store run JA show will be taking place this October, correct? It'll be their fall show. So
correct.
if you're in New York, check it out, because I think In-Store is going to give that show a little boost.
Yes. No, I love that. Thank you. And I brought in some old issues of our JA report. These are some of our newsletters. But I also wanted to just poll you, Michelle.
Poll me?
Yes, poll you. And everybody at home, we'll pause for a second. give your brain a little energy here. Gold was what an ounce in 1906, Michelle?
In 1906, was it $25 an ounce?
And everybody at home, put it in writing so you can hold yourself accountable here. It was $18.90 an ounce.
Okay.
In 1906.
So I wasn't that far off.
Not that far off at all. And
Okay.
the average wage was 22 cents an hour.
Oh my goodness.
So it really shows sort of like where we are and how far we've come. So that I felt like that was really interesting. And then my last little fun fact is that Jewelers of America in 1913 went on to adopt the first birthstone list. And that is the same birthstone list that we mentioned earlier in our podcast about it being expanded. So throughout time, there has been a couple additions, not many, but a couple additions to that official birthstone list with the American Gem Trade Association, and spinel was the most recent addition. Before that, tanzanite was added to December back in the early 2000s. So
very interesting,
very
Amanda.
interesting.
Thank you so much.
So those are some of our fun facts, but I found it really fun to look back, and here's the newsletter from October 1950 that has, the Capitol building on the front. As we're preparing for our fly-in in September, this says the best safeguard of the liberties for which our forefathers fought and died is for every citizen to vote.
So true
this
today.
this is on the cover.
Yes.
But obviously advocacy has been a huge part of JA's mission since our early days. But it was kind of always fun to see all the different programs that we had going on. Like we did fashion shows.
What is that, from 1985?
This one's from 1985. First nationwide JA fashion show for new jewelry designers attracts editors from all over the U.S. So some really fun programs that we used to do, and some things that we're still continuing to do today. So always nice to look back on some history. You have some fun things for me though, Michelle.
I do have something fun. So my apologies, I do not have an issue of National Jeweler from 1906. We could not find one that old, but Molly Fallon, our producer extraordinaire, did quite a while ago find this September 1910 issue of the National Jeweler and Optician. Ooh.
Good old National Jeweler and Optician.
Yes. So I was looking through this, and I've earmarked a couple pages, and I want to just read aloud some of the concerns that jewelers had in 1910. And we're going to start with this.
Put your readers on, Michelle, so you can read it.
This print is tiny. Thank God we're the opticians. So this is from the 1910 issue of National Jeweler.
Small print.
It's tiny print. And this is about, we have all these conversations today, are people still going to buy jewelry when they can take trips or spend it on technology, etc. This says, auto's killing the demand for jewelry, ? The complaint is often heard that it is more difficult to sell fine watches, jewelry, and silverware these days than 10 years ago on account of the great automobile industry. It is contended that the horseless vehicle craze has assumed such tremendous importance that national and even world prosperity is being threatened with annihilation. The horseless age in the immediate future is the dream of motor enthusiasts.
There you go.
So obviously
competition.
There's always competition, and they had big fears about the, what do they call this? The horseless vehicle craze, killing jewelry. We're here 100 and some years later to tell you that people buy cars and jewelry.
Yes.
So people's, desire to use a car did not kill their love of jewelry.
That's incredible.
So let me find this other one. Sorry, this is not the best method here. So number 2 here. Oh my.
Where is that posted? There it is.
Sorry. This is about how confidence of the public should be gained. So obviously this was an issue
Consumer
for jewelers
confidence.
back then as well. Trust, confidence in jewelers. And this is an opinion article, and they wrote, I do not think that the present system of time guarantees the jeweler has any advantage over peddlers, mail order houses, or department stores. We all have trade that has confidence in us. So has the mail order house, the department store, and even the peddler. The one who has the knack of getting the confidence of the prospective customer will get the business under any system of guarantees or stamping. So,
There you have it.
consumer confidence and trust, still an issue there. Then I have one more to share. This is page 136, and this is an entire article in the National Jeweler and Optician about show window lighting.
Oh.
Would you like me to read?
Let me hear a little something, Michelle.
All right, here we go. Some fundamental principles of window lighting. In the show window, no light should be exposed so as to be in the ordinary range of vision. The show window being primarily to attract the purchaser's attention to the goods displayed rather than to the light. Nothing should distract from this purpose. In this connection, the merchant can well learn a lesson from the theatrical stage manager.
Oh
So
my gosh.
that is where
incredible.
we were looking for our Wisdom to Light jewelry in the year 1910.
Incredible.
I was
Incredible.
that is I mean it is funny to read that,
Yeah.
the horseless vehicle craze. But, in all reality, it's always interesting to me when you look back on these old issues of National Jeweler, we're still talking about the same
right.
problems and the same concerns.
right.
People are worried about, the consumer having confidence and the competition from now today it'd be big box stores
Sure.
and online sellers. People are worried about other product categories taking money from jewelry. In 1910, it was, are people still going to buy jewelry if they're buying cars?
Right,
And then people are still like, showcases, displays, how you display the jewelry to like maximize its beauty, still an issue. So, it's funny to read because the horseless automobile craze, for instance, sounds so funny to us now, but it's just shows you really the problems kind of stayed the same over all this time.
Absolutely.
So that's fun.
Well, happy birthday to Jewelers of America and to National Jeweler, and 120 more years to come, I hope.
Yes.
So,
Exactly.
well, that was another fun episode
Absolutely.
of My Next Question. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to My Next Question on Spotify, Apple, and follow us on Instagram at Jewelers of America and at National Jeweler for all of the latest news and industry insights.
And thank you again, and we'll be back in September with another great episode. Take care.